Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. You know, the census data has been collated, and in 2010 there were a record number of people in the United States in poverty. And this has gone up for the last several years. And the sad reality is that it seems as though that will be the continuing trend because of the lunatics and jagoffs who purport to be running this country or wanting to run this country continue to spout the same useless bullshit that they have been. For example, in light of the report that poverty is on the rise in this country, we have the lunatic Rand Paul talking about how any federal efforts to try and stem poverty and or to help individuals who may be suffering from lack of food and lack of other things that could easily be provided by programs that are designed to do so, that the poor really aren't poor in this country. In fact, the poor are getting richer than the rich. Well, I have news for you, you fucking stupid motherfucking jagoff prick asshole. You also characterize any attempt by the federal government or any other entity for that matter that is in any way connected with the government to step in and try to prevent preventable death and fucking illness by providing relief to people who are suffering from fucking poverty. You categorize that as socialism. Well, I have news for you, you motherfucking asshole. There has been socialism in this fucking country for the last several fucking decades. Every scrap of every fucking penny scraped out of the backs and hides of the poor, the middle class, and all working class fucking Americans and handed it over lock, stock, and barrel to the rich. That's socialism because it's wealth redistribution. And we've had decades of it. And you want to continue the same fucking shit. Well, I have a couple words for you, motherfucker. Go fuck yourself. I hope you enjoyed the cavalcade of lunatics and fucking mental cases in the debate last night. Of course, we had the same kind of failed rhetoric of nonsense and bullshit from these people, and now apparently Social Security is, they're trying really hard to make this an issue. Why they need to, I don't know, because Obama has already attacked Social Security, and he continues to attack Social Security by this FICA tax cut that he wants to promote, and to make it even bigger. Why the Republicans are stumbling over each other in an effort to try and make it seem like they're not attacking Social Security is beyond me, since the lunatic that is in the White House right now, who is a complete and utter tool of Wall Street, has already put Social Security in danger and wants to utterly crush and destroy it. So it would seem that the Republicans should have absolutely no problem in jumping on the bandwagon, but they're fumbling over themselves in this matter. So Rick Perry calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme, and there's a whole bunch of heated rhetoric back and forth. The fact of the matter is, and as I have stated over and over and over and over and over and over again, if you remove the cap on earnings that are subjected to the FICA payroll tax, there will be no issues with Social Security for decades, for maybe as many as 75 years before there would be any problem with any payouts. And any talk about raising the retirement age is only putting people at risk. because they will have to work more. And what do you do about people who are in rather difficult jobs, manual labor and things of this nature? How is a 70-year-old going to do a manual labor fucking job and have to keep working in hopes of getting his benefits at some later date? That's lunacy and a death sentence, or at least a sentence to habitual health problems, which will have their own cost down the road. Unless you have Ron Paul as your president, because unless you plan ahead and you have enough money to cover any one of the many things that might happen to you in life, and or if you fail to buy a product that somebody else is selling, i.e. insurance, then tough shit. You should die. And presumably, since if you can't think ahead and do not buy a product that somebody else is selling, and you should die as a result of that, because it's not the government's place to step in any way, shape, or form to prevent your death, then I would imagine that in every other life circumstance, the government does not have a job to do anything for you. In other words, with Ron Paul as president, there would be nothing done to address the jobs issue, and as more and more jobs are offshored overseas, the anti-regulatory environment of the federal government will be only too happy to see them go, because that will be less things for them to have to look after, since they'll be greatly reduced in size. So every other life calamity, whether it's a natural disaster or anything else that happens to you, if you haven't banked money, now how you're going to do that when there's a record number of people living in poverty in this country, kind of really makes me wonder how that's going to be worked out as far as logistics go. And how you're going to be able to pay for something from somebody that's trying to sell you something. Basically what Ron Paul is saying is that you have to buy insurance, because if you don't, then it's all on you, and fuck you, die. So how's that different from a mandate? So you see the lunacy, and it's lunacy on purpose. I have a feeling that what's going to happen in the Republican race is that someone else is going to enter the race, and by comparison to the lunatic fringe that are all running right now, they will appear to be moderate, but in actual fact, they will be far right. But because the lunatic fringe is so far to the right, they might as well all be named Mussolini or Hitler. They will appear to be moderate, and that will be your candidate. But it won't matter, because we're going to have the same Obama as president for another 4 years after 2012, which isn't all bad, because at least, you know, I've mapped out exactly what he's doing, and exactly what he will do, and exactly what is going to happen with the furtherance of his presidency. Someone on, I think it was on Black Agenda Radio, used the term to describe him, a preemptive, preemptive compromiser. So he anticipates, smart, thinks ahead. He anticipates the compromise. So even he might jump way ahead of you, 6 or 7 moves. That's how smart he is. So even though the Republicans never mention Social Security and or Medicare in any of their, you know, budget fiasco, whenever we had the budget deadline and all that stupid, non-existent drama, they didn't even bring it up. Obama slammed that sucker right down on the table, because that's his job, destroy the New Deal. And he's doing a great job of it, and it's going to continue, because he's going to win in 2012. Unless something really, 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 really major happens. I hope you also noticed, just a final couple points, that Perry went on and on talking last night in the debate about how, you know, after we're done rebuilding Afghanistan and doing all this other kind of stuff over in Afghanistan, it's going to be great for the women over there, and it's all going to be wonderful and nice and great and fantastic and sweet. Apparently, it's okay for us to spend whatever amount of money necessary to make Afghanistan wonderful, beautiful, nice for everybody over there, but we can't do anything here in this country. And you can't lift the income cap on Social Security to keep it solvent. You can't make sure these programs are all working for the benefit of American people. But we can do all this stuff to help Afghanistan. So, you know, that's the lunacy. And one final bit of news, you know, regarding Darrell Issa, who's in charge of the Government Reform Committee, which is looking at destroying the U.S. Postal Service, which is completely unnecessary. Once again, a simple fix is required in the Postal Service, but they want to take this opportunity to destroy more union jobs and relegate everybody to working at Walmart until Walmart can no longer sustain itself because nobody makes any money to buy anything. So Darrell Issa is embroiled in a ethics problem right now, and purchasing shares of Goldman Sachs just prior to putting pressure on Congress to lay off investigations into Goldman Sachs on possible fraud, which of course we all know they're guilty of fraud. And preventing any investigation of that only, you know, delays the inevitable for people who are still living in the dark, but everybody who knows anything knows that they're guilty of fraud. So that's one ethics violation. He has a dude from Goldman Sachs who's working in his office being paid by him, and that guy is an actual lobbyist of Goldman Sachs that Darrell Issa is paying to work in his office. And there's a certain property that he owns that he tried to manipulate legislative action that would have increased the value of his property. And I'm sure if you dug deeper, you'd find many, many more things. So I don't expect anything to be done about that because basically Congress just does whatever it feels like doing. And if it ever investigates itself, it never really does much of anything. The only thing that really gets you out of office is, I guess, texting pictures of yourself to women who are not your wife. Seeing prostitutes won't. And serious financial allegations won't get you out. So, you know, it's a toss-up. But, you know, as far as like what actually is bad, you know, according to their fucked up morality that they have up there. But, you know, I'd suggest that if you have a mind, put pressure on Darrell Issa because he's a cocksucking motherfucker. And just another example of the kind of fraud and outright theft that goes on right in front of everybody's eyes and nobody says a word. So, there you go. Enjoy the next year because it'll really be fun to hear all this lunacy over and over and over again. Thank you.